They want war. Crime babies looking for food. Starvation, the recipe, people subdued. When the people you trust got it in for you. Deceit is the word of the day and every clue. Don't let it go. It's from the days of old. Time is up, but some still do not know. Can I make up my mind? Is it worth the dime? Do I have to take a minute just to make it mine? Life's never fair, but don't listen to the TV. Go out and take a listen to the streets with the people in and degrees sitting under a tree. It's not easy in the world for the poor man, the one that brought you to reality. See, they don't want you to know about the black sheep. Leaving 7 rows to the 12 families all around the globe with an ancient code. Is it really asking a lot to say a death old? Cause we sitting on the earth looking back at extinct, and I'm standing on some ground that's about to sink. I ain't scared for a minute, I ain't about to blink, but I documented for the world what I see and think. Feel we on the call and up and we on the break. All Congress gonna do is waste paper and ink. Vote or die. You voted and you'll die. You can have it both ways, can't say it's a lie. You can march all you want, but they playing you wrong. They only understand war, it's the same old song. They want war, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. War, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. Like a lotus coming out of the mud with colors, I create envy in those with power but jealous. I unify the poor with my song, the hell with the others. Descended the way they treat indigenous brothers, cause I understand we link forever. They try to hate us even though that we keep it together. I'm not talking about controlling the air or the weather. I'm talking about maintaining the truth, the high endeavor. A rebel drops bombs in the midst of trouble. The free world counterattack, and now there's double. But nature gets the shit in a way that's subtle. If you stop the machines for a minute, you might hear, but they won't, cause the TV's whisper in the ear. And capitalism has eyes that don't tear, and they cloud up and get crazy and won't steer. And like an ab, it's hard to get an ass to listen. Living like this is like living in prison. It's hard to keep hope when you're living in prison. The spiritual thoughts, so yes, the mental prison. The outside, yes, it's got to get through. Something's gotta die, so something here can live. Your life is nothing if you got nothing to give. Keeping the spiritual, yes, disguised as religion. Controlling your mind, the mental prison. They want war, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. War, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war.
All right. Yes, y'all. Doing a little broadcast at a different time today. I just wanted to get this out, and I'm sorry for the delay. Been hella busy on this side, and yeah, I hope everybody's having a good night, morning, middle of the day, lunch, whatever you have, and under the circumstances you have them in. Now, let me just check the audio here real quick and make sure it's sounding okay. Okay, we on. Now, wow, the news cycle is turning fast. It's flip-flopping. There seems to be a lot of excuses going on regarding the Epstein Files. The news is obviously, it's still going on. I mean, Trump is still sending military. He's probably going to send military to different states up until the time where he dies. You know what I'm saying? So you just have to get used to that. Trump, not used to it in the bad way. I'm not saying that. Stand up for your rights, video record, follow and document every single action that intruders to your neighborhood do, to your state, to your communities. Do document that. And I applaud the people that are documenting it, because without you, there would be no freedom. Without you documenting it, it would be no freedom in the United States right now. Obviously, a lot of the media companies are bought off or threatened, either one, bought off through, extreme tax breaks given this time by the president of the United States, the biggest in history of the country, or by direct threats, threatening to take people's federal licensing away, their operational abilities away, or through lawsuits. I mean, just through telling the truth or suggesting the truth. A lot of threats to the First Amendment right now. So videotaping and stating your opinion, all of that falls in the guise of it. So thank you to the people that have been standing up for your rights, because without you, there would be no country called the United States of America for people to even talk about. First of all, you are out there on the front line right now, ahead of the police. You are ahead of the state legislator. I'm sorry to say that, but yeah, you really are, because the state's not out there with the video cameras. The state's not out there documenting everything. Actually, the people have been led with the charge of having to document everybody's ass, what the state police do, what the federal government does, how people respond, any type of group or organization that gets taxpayer dollars. It's actually the everyday American people that are doing the job for the United States of America right now. And I guarantee you, if your country was under attack from a foreign nation or from the inside, it would literally be you right now defending the nation. Trust me when I say that. Why? Because the military is under the guise of the president, and he's a loony as hell. He couldn't identify a threat if, if it was standing in his own cabinet, right? He wouldn't be able to identify that. And he seems to like cozying up to people that threaten the United States of America with nuclear bombs, threaten the United States of America in a lot of different ways, even infiltrate, hack. He's cozy with people that hack the United States military. Trump is cozy with people that hack the FBI, that hack all kinds of security, apparatus that the U.S. has traditionally. So this is the state of it. The only people that are really holding the line are the American citizens. So kudos to you if you are out there documenting what is going on and paying attention so that the rest of the world gets to know what's happening. Also, people like myself. I mean, imagine this. I'm an American citizen, born and raised in the United States, Washington, D.C. I actually live outside of the country, but both sides of my family are from the beginnings of the United States of America, from the colonial period. So imagine me being outside watching the news media. If I was to watch Fox or CNN or a lot of MSNBC, I'm not dissing any of them. Actually, it's no need for me to diss it, but that's all you got. That's all you got. You got NPR. Okay, that's what you got. That's what you got. That's just basically repeating the same messaging, right? But thanks to independent news networks, like I'm going to name a few, the Midas Touch Network, like just there's so many. There's so many right now. I don't want to go through all of them, but you get what I'm saying, right? Left leaning and freedom leaning news outlets, independent. If it wasn't for them, people outside of the United States wouldn't know what the American people think. None of these networks are really going far out there to really show you how ugly things are. None of them are, not the major legacy media. So right now, independent media is really doing the job. So I appreciate that 100%. And I hope for the sake of the nation, people keep moving, because like I said, in my estimation, you would not have a country if the people themselves, the ones who have the rights to possess arms, if they did not use their cameras right now and point them towards all government, they wouldn't have a country. Like straight up, you would literally be the enemy. The people of the United States would be the enemy of the nation right now, which is why Trump is sending out military and things like that. Yeah. So things that other countries don't do. Right. Which is why he's out there arresting people first without any type of cause, just based on how they look, essentially. Right. Due process, that's out the window. See, when you're an enemy combatant of the United States of America, which he has basically made U.S. citizens, because when you throw probable cause, the Fourth Amendment, out the window, you are just as good as the so-called Venezuelan boat that the military just blew up. No probable cause. They didn't go in there and find out who is doing what. No names, no history, no evidences. You see, this is how you treat an enemy. This is literally how you treat an enemy, right? And again, for those of you that live inside of the United States that are confused about that, I would suggest you travel to other Western nations and check out how they're doing it. Travel to Canada. That's not that far from you. You could at least go there and see how things are done, right? Now, in any case, flip-flopping is not what you're going to get from me. I said, and I've been saying this for a while, Ghislaine Maxwell is going to get a pardon from Trump because she got Trump by the balls. She knows what's inside of those Epstein files, and she knows the story is not only about the victims, but hearts goes out to the thousands of little girls that were victimized by grown ass men and others, some women, right? My heart goes out to them and their families. But what's inside of the Epstein files is not just about the victims. It's something else also equally as devastating to the United States of America, and if not equal, worse. And that is the espionage. Who else knows that information, and who else has been blackmailing United States aristocrats, possible Supreme Court judges, possible judges in general, possible congressional members, right? Which you could see Maga Mike Johnson doesn't want those files released. For some strange reason, he does not want those files released to the public. It's almost like his life is in jeopardy. You could see a lot of congressional members don't want it released. You could see a lot of senators don't want it released. Now, and here's the thing. The same people who don't want it released are the same people that could end Trump's reign right now today by impeaching him, impeaching J.D. Vance, impeaching anybody in his administration, and impeaching any Supreme Court judge that allowed Trump to be able to be the president of the United States. That could have been stopped a long time ago. So the people in Congress, they could end all of this today. The people in the Senate, they could end all of this today. And these are the same people covering up the Epstein files because they know their asses are on the line. They know what's in those files exposes the frauds. They know that 100%. It's not a coincidence. But in any case, let's go over to our main boy, our boy, and you should call him a boy. No. Before we do that, Maga Mike Johnson, you should call him a boy. For real, you should have zero respect for Maga Mike Johnson. Zero. But in any case, I just want to run through a few things here. This is crazy. This is crazy. So now the same government has found a minute. The same government. Now, the Congress could end this bullshit. The Congress could say, man, this DOJ and FBI are screwing up such basic stuff being exposed in front of the American people. Let's end this. Congress could end it. They could get Kash Patel out of office. Out of his administrative role. They could get Pam Bondi out of there. The same person that basically worked for the DOJ that gave Jeffrey Epstein the slap on the wrist. They They could end that. The Congress could. They have the power. The Senate has the power, absolutely and unequivocally. But for some strange reason, they just won't.
The missing minute from the Epstein jail footage is no longer missing. It's been released by Congress. So, what's in it? Earlier this year, when the FBI released the security footage from the jail where Jeffrey Epstein died, it included nearly 11 hours of recording. But the video skipped 1 minute within the hours before Epstein's body was discovered in August 2019. The video jumped from the last second of 11:58 p.m. to midnight. The missing footage fueled online conspiracy theories that Epstein did not die by suicide in his prison cell. But the US Attorney General said it was just down to a technical glitch.
What we learned from Bureau of Prisons was every night the video is reset, and every night should have the same minute missing.
But now we know the Epstein missing minute was in fact recorded.
So that was a false statement by Pam Bondi. For those of you that don't know what a false statement is, here's the statement again. She made a statement alleging that what happens is that every night this missing minute happens. In other words, i.e., a glitch, for lack of other words, right? Let's listen again. Now, Congress could end this type of administrative failure. Congress could, but Congress chooses not to, right? Here we go.
To a technical glitch.
What we learned from Bureau of Prisons was every night the video is reset.
Now, she learned that from Bureau of Prisons. Okay. Anybody asked that in Congress? Is that true? No, obviously, it's been found out to be a lie. So that means Pam Bondi has essentially lied. She didn't find out anything. You don't find that out. How you found it out, bring the person forward that told you that. And even if a person told you that, you're the Department of Justice. It's your job to investigate and find out if it's true or not. And they have the capacity to do that. Otherwise, why are they prosecuting any crime? You see, she chose to release that statement. That's not necessarily facts.
And every night should have the same minute missing.
But now we know the Epstein missing minute was in fact recorded. In the grainy footage, you can just make out someone at the top of the screen who appears to be walking away from the guard's desk towards the main entrance. The Department of Justice has not named this person, but describes them as a material handler. There doesn't appear to be anything else happening in the footage. But the full version of the Congress-released video raises further questions. It shows Epstein being escorted to a different prison unit just before 7 p.m. to make an unmonitored phone call. This is banned in prison, so why was he allowed to do it? This new
Yo, you know something? And keep in mind, this is while Donald Trump was the president in his first term. I wouldn't be surprised if he was going to make a phone call to Trump. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if Trump wasn't trying to elicit his cooperation, just like Trump went and sent the DOJ to elicit Ghislaine Maxwell's cooperation. Very simple. Very simple. But it doesn't matter because this is a missing tape. No matter what you think about it, Pam Bondi alleged that this happens every day. Listen again.
Blind conspiracy theories that Epstein did not die by suicide in his prison cell. But the US Attorney General said it was just down to a technical glitch.
What we learned from Bureau of Prisons was every night the video is reset, and every night should have the same minute missing.
But now we know the Epstein missing minute was in fact recorded. In the grainy footage, you can just make out someone at the top of the screen who appears to be walking away from the guard's desk towards the main entrance. The Department of Justice has not named this person, but describes them as a material handler.
So they haven't named this person. They haven't named a person. Okay. So what's the point in not naming the person? You've named everybody else. So you don't have the name of this person? Okay, interesting. But again, Congress could end this incompetence. Congress could end the Kash Patel and the DOJ incompetence if they chose to. These are also, ironically, pretty much verbatim, the same congressional members that could release the Epstein files if they wanted to, unredacted, outside of the actual child victims' names. They could do that. These are the same congressional members you're talking about, right? They could end Pam Bondi's career, and they could end Kash Patel's career, and they could release the Epstein files with only the victims' names redacted. But they choose not to. They choose not to. It is a choice, and they choose not to. Okay?
There doesn't appear to be anything else happening in the footage. But the full version of the Congress-released video raises further questions. It shows Epstein being escorted to a different prison unit just before 7 p.m. to make an unmonitored phone call. This is banned.
Keep in mind, an unmonitored phone call, which is actually banned. It is also not normal, but Trump was the president when this happened. He was the sitting president when Epstein was going into that room to make that phone call before his death, right? And, you know, it's very interesting because, I mean, why wouldn't Trump try to get Epstein to cooperate with him since he's locked up and since Trump has been mentioned in those files? It's the same scenario as Ghislaine Maxwell. What is the difference? Is there a difference there? Ghislaine Maxwell is in those files. She was a co-conspirator. Donald Trump's DOJ elicited her cooperation. I'm just putting that out there. I'm saying, why not? Outside of something stupid like you're making things up, you're just conspiratory, you don't know what you're talking about, don't you have anything better to do? I'm looking for other, answers outside other responses.
In prison. So why was he allowed to do it? This new footage has missing metadata.
Yeah, why was he allowed to do it? Why was Pam Bondi, DOJ, allowed to go meet with Ghislaine Maxwell? Why was that? Why? Who was the president when Epstein made this phone call? Trump was. Who was the president when Ghislaine Maxwell met with the DOJ after she had already been sentenced and found guilty and serving time? Who? Trump was the president. I mean, yeah, yes, these are facts. These are not opinions. These are facts. Again, who could get the Epstein files released? The same congressional members, right? The same exact congressional members that could get Pam Bondi impeached, Kash Patel impeached, Donald Trump impeached, J.D. Vance impeached, any Supreme Court justice impeached. These are the same people that could do something if they wanted to. Just so it's very clear.
Metadata, different text on screen, and is lower quality compared with the FBI's version, leading some to question whether or not it really is the original footage.
Right. I mean, that's the last part of that. Now, I would ask the same questions. What's up with the difference in the tape? If it's the original footage, why does it look different? The obvious answer is it's not the original. Again, this has been tampered with. It's that simple. It doesn't matter how it's been tampered. It's been tampered. If someone just went in there and changed the lighting a little bit on purpose, that's tampering, right? If someone did it on accident, changed the lighting a little bit, even on accident, that's tampered. You see, so the bottom line is it's likely tampered. Now, on to the next part. I just wanted to open with that. Yes, this is under Pam Bondi's DOJ. The missing minute was not true. Should we listen to her voice one more time? I mean, just as a reminder, because, yeah, let's go.
It included nearly 11 hours of recording, but the video skipped 1 minute within the hours before Epstein's body was discovered in August 2019. The video jumped from the last second. It's been released by Congress. So, what's in it? Earlier this year, when the FBI released the security footage from the jail where Jeffrey Epstein died, it included nearly 11 hours of recording. But the video skipped 1 minute within the hours before Epstein's body was discovered in August 2019. The video jumped from the last second of 11:58 p.m. to midnight. The missing footage fueled online conspiracy theories that Epstein did not die by suicide in his prison cell. But the US Attorney General said it was just down to a technical glitch.
What we learned from Bureau of Prisons was every night the video is reset, and every night should have the same minute missing.
But now we know the Epstein missing minute was in fact recorded.
So she still has a job after essentially misinforming the public deeply. Like, how do you, as the head of the DOJ and your investigative skills, how did you allow that to pass as credible information? We learned from the DOJ that every night, a minute. You mean you didn't investigate it before you brought it to the public? Pam Bondi? No, Pam Bondi obviously did not. And if she did, it was a very poor investigation, because the truth turns out to be that that was not the case. That was not factual. That was incorrect of Pam Bondi. She incorrectly informed the public. She misinformed the public. She disinformed the public. This is a very serious matter. Pam Bondi got it wrong. Congress can impeach her, but Congress won't, because Congress, they're ironically the same people that won't release the Epstein files without more redactions. You know, they want redactions over all kinds of other people's names that they claim have nothing to do with the crimes. Okay, but if you have nothing to do with the crime, why do you need a redaction? I mean, the person selling ice cream, if they on Epstein's Island, if they were selling ice cream on Epstein Island or in New York City or any other place where these tragic crimes were going on, if they were just selling ice cream, then it wouldn't matter if their name was released to the public, because they didn't do anything. It's only the people that possibly could have been doing something that would be worried about it in the first place. But nonetheless, let's get over to the next part, see how things are going. Now, that's been happening, right? You have that Epstein file thing, and then you have the Mike Johnson. Mike Johnson has not been doing much better, right? First, you got Pam Bondi with the prison tape missing, right? Nobody knows what's up with the prison tape. You know, she releases disinformation to the public regarding the tape, right? And so you have that failure. Then you have the leader of the Republican Party, just as egregious, just as incompetent. Then again, the Congress could impeach him. The Congress can basically impeach. They have the underlying authority, the Congress and the Senate. They have the underlying authority. So this is going on under their watch, this incompetence. Whatever it is going on under this Congress's watch, this Congress and this Senate's watch, unexplicitly. 100% they take the blame.
That they're creating a hoax just like they did with the Russian dossier because they think it's going to somehow be mud thrown on him. It's not. He has no culpability in this thing at all. The president has clean hands. He wants.
I met Donald Trump at some parties I attend that I was working for Mr. Jeffrey Epstein. There was about 3 or 4 times that I had encounters with Donald Trump.
And how old were you when you met him?
I was 13.
That they're creating a hoax just like they did with the Russian dossier because they think it's going to somehow be mud thrown on him. It's not. He has no culpability in this thing at all. The president has clean hands. He wants.
The first time that I met Donald Trump was at a party at Jeffrey Epstein's mansion. There was an orgy going on, and he was kind of watching off in the distance, and he basically asked if I could come over and give him a hand job. And
that they're creating a hoax just like they did with the Russian dossier because they think it's going to somehow be mud thrown on him. It's not. He has no culpability in this thing at all. The president has clean hands. He wants.
I met Donald Trump at some party.
So Mike Johnson says that the president has clean hands. Yet there's an individual that's been out there who's said the opposite on tape, on camera, in a deposition, right? She has been questioned. She has already stated on this tape that no one has asked her to say this, that this is all true. And she says that she was with Donald Trump 3 to 4 times in incidences that involved sexual activity when she was 13 years old, 13 and 14 years old, 3 to 4 times. That's what she says. But Maga Mike Johnson, he says that the president has clean hands, right? But he's not asking for any investigation about this woman. He's not calling for her to be a witness anywhere in any hearing, not in any hearing. You don't hear legacy media mentioning her at all. You don't hear CNN, Fox News. Again, there's a lot of people out there that think that this is just about little girls, 1,000 little girls who were sex trafficked. And I wish that it was only about that. But, you know, I don't understand what it is people don't understand about espionage and blackmail. But if there's espionage and blackmail going on here for 20 years involving possible Supreme Court justices, possible congressional members, possible senators, possible presidents, possible, persons that are heads of different departments in the government, who knows, or wealthy individuals, other ones. If blackmail and espionage has been going on because this information is already known to foreign governments, and the only people this information that it concerns most, that does not know what's in it, are the American people. And they're being told that you don't need to know what's in it. You don't need to know all the ins and outs, all the details. Something is terribly wrong with your thinking about the world. Because if someone does have any information, a foreign government, of anybody who committed any acts with any minors, and they have that information, not even just a foreign government, but if they did, they would definitely use it to their advantage politically. If a company or corporation or individual inside of the United States had their hands on that information, which apparently is possible, they would use it to their advantage. That would affect the American people. So they could get people to change their vote. They could get people to change their view in a court hearing. They could get people to change their testimony. They could get, for anything, they could get people to change a lot if you have this kind of information, right? So you could see Maga Mike Johnson. He apparently is not in the files, but for some reason, he does not want them opened. Like, he explicitly does not want them open.
Creating a hoax just like they did with the Russian dossier because they think it's going to somehow.
And his reasoning is that it's a hoax. Now, Maga Mike Johnson, is this person on the screen a hoax? Watch.
Mud thrown on him. It's not. He has no culpability in this thing at all. The president has clean hands. He wants.
I met Donald Trump.
Is this a hoax? Is this a hoax? I saw somebody call this AI. Man, are you out of your mind? This is that AI. This is a real person. This is a real person. Is this a hoax?
At some parties I attend that I was working for Mr. Jeffrey Epstein. There was about 3 or 4 times that I had encounters with Donald Trump.
And how old were you when you met him?
I was 13.
That they're creating a hoax just like they did with the Russian dossier because they think it's going to somehow be mud thrown on him. It's not. He has no culpability in this thing at all. The president has clean hands. He wants.
The first time that I met Donald Trump was at a party at Jeffrey Epstein's mansion. There was an orgy going on, and he was kind of watching off in the distance, and he basically asked if I could come over and give him a hand job.
That they're creating a hoax just like they did with the Russian dossier because they think it's going to somehow be mud thrown on him. It's not. He has no culpability in this thing at all. The president has clean hands. He wants.
I met Donald Trump at some parties I attend that I was working for Mr. Jeffrey Epstein. There was about 3 or 4 times that I had encounters with Donald Trump.
And how old were you when you met him?
I was 13.
That they're creating a hoax just like they did with the Russian dossier because they think it's going to somehow be mud thrown on him. It's not. He has no culpability in this thing at all. The president has.
Report comes out, and they didn't even say, they hardly even talked about it.
Should he have gone to the FBI when he got that email?
Okay, let's put yourself in a position. You're a congressman. Somebody comes up and says, hey, I have information on your opponent. Do you call the FBI? I don't think.
Coming from
I'll tell you
Russia,
what,
you do?
I've seen a lot of things over my life. I don't think in my whole life I've ever called the FBI. In my whole life. You don't call the FBI. You throw somebody out of your office, you do.
When Epstein.
When he got that email.
Okay, let's put yourself in a position. You're a congressman. Somebody comes up and says, hey, I have information on your opponent. Do you call the FBI? I don't think.
Coming from
I'll tell you
Russia,
what,
you do?
I've seen a lot of things over my life. I don't think in my whole life I've ever called the FBI. In my whole life.
So Trump says he doesn't think in his whole life he's ever called the FBI. And look at him. He's on tape screaming and squirming like only Trump does and swearing, and look, this is who Maga Mike Johnson, the Christian is backing up, is going all out there to tell you that his hands are clean. He knows for sure Donald Trump's hands are clean, y'all. That's Maga Mike Johnson, the Christian. And this is the guy they're talking about who said just now that he's never gone to the FBI. He don't think even one time in his life he's gone to the FBI. Now listen.
You don't call the FBI. You throw somebody out of your office, you do.
What Epstein did as a hoax, it's a
Jake,
terrible,
what's up?
unspeakable evil. He believes that himself. When he first heard the rumor, he kicked him out of Mar-a-Lago. He was an FBI informant to try to.
Report comes out, and they didn't even say, they hardly even talked about it.
Should he have gone to the FBI when he got that email?
Okay, let's put yourself in a position. You're a congressman. Somebody comes up and says, hey, I have information on your opponent. Do you call the FBI? I don't think.
Coming from
I'll tell you
Russia,
what,
you do?
I've seen a lot of things over my life. I don't think in my whole life I've ever called the FBI. In my whole life. You don't call the FBI.
Okay.
You throw somebody out of your office, you do.
It's a terrible, unspeakable evil. He believes that himself. When he first heard the rumor, he kicked him out of Mar-a-Lago. He was an FBI informant.
So you heard that. He was an FBI informant according to Maga Mike, right? FBI informant according to Maga Mike. And according to Trump, he doesn't think he's ever talked to the FBI in his life. He would never do that. He would just throw the person out. I mean, come on. Can you imagine that? Why would you do that? I mean, that sounds like a mob boss right there, because the only person I could respect saying that is a mob boss. God damn. That's how you would want your criminals to be built if they were criminals. If they were your criminals, you would want your criminals to be built like that, to say, why would I talk to the FBI? I don't think I've ever done that. That's what you would expect. But here you have the president of the United States, the person that's supposed to be hunting the criminals down. And what the hell? What the hell did he say? He said, why would I do that? Why would I? I don't think I've ever done that in my life. Anyway, let's listen.
The Washington Post, yes. Mike Johnson has publicly softened and clarified his statement regarding President Trump's alleged role as an FBI informant in the Jeffrey Epstein case. What happened? Initial claim. On September 5, 2025, House Speaker Mike Johnson told reporters that Trump was an FBI informant to try to take this stuff down regarding the Epstein investigation. Live now, pushback and retraction. By September 7, 2025, Johnson's office walked back the informant claim. Instead, they emphasized that Trump, who had expelled...
So he's walked back the claim now. Now, Mike Johnson, you heard that. Mike Johnson is walking the claim back. He's walking the claim back. He is walking the, I'm sorry. I just had to think about that for a second. Let's hear that one more time here.
Instead, they emphasized that Trump, who had expelled Epstein from Mar-a-Lago, was the only one more than a decade ago willing to help prosecutors expose Epstein for being...
Now, the only one? Look, what are you talking about? The only one? What are you talking about? They had all the victims that they shut down. They had all the victims' testimony. And they're talking, this is, how I don't even know how many, 10s, 20s. It's like maybe, I think they interviewed 1,000 victims, more, first of all. Then the ones who you have, like, who there's obviously you've heard a lot of their testimony, right? Think about this. Maga Mike Johnson just said this today, just in the last 24 hours. He was the only one. But even back then, the FBI had interviewed loads of people. How could he say he was the only one? What sense does that make? They don't need him. They didn't need him to make that case. That is bullshit. Again, MAGA Mike Johnson is a GOP Republican representative of the House majority. They could release all the Epstein files with only the victims' names redacted, but they're lobbying to have more people's names redacted that they call innocent and don't deserve to have their names mentioned, although they claim they didn't commit crimes. That's what the GOP is moving for. That is what Trump is moving for. So, and they're going to try to find a way to put the victims, if they can, between the total release. You see what I mean? So they're going to right now, the two are juxtaposed politically. Right, as far as the decisions that Congress can make. You could, A, release all the files, just release the files with only child sex victims' names released. I mean, names redacted, with only their names redacted. You could do that, A, Congress, politically. Or they could release only they could release the files, but only the people who they, the victims' names redacted, but also other people that could be innocent, which is choosing the other people being innocent or not is all their own choice. It's Trump's own choice. Think about this. It's the GOP and Trump's own personal choice if they don't allow the public to weigh in. It's their choice. But what they're going to say is that the Congress is the public. That's what they're going to say. So they're going to say the GOP is the public. But this gets deeper. I mean, it's just documentation, but let's keep these things in mind real quick. Let's go on.
For being a disgusting child predator. They attributed the sentiment to a victim's attorney, rather than asserting a formal child predator. The only one more than a decade ago willing to help prosecutors expose Epstein for being a disgusting child predator. Expelled Epstein from Epstein investigation. Live now, pushback and retraction. By September 7, 2025, Johnson's office walked back the informant claim. Instead, they emphasized that Trump, who had expelled Epstein from Mar-a-Lago, was the only one more than a decade ago willing to help prosecutors expose Epstein for being a disgusting child predator. They attributed the sentiment to a victim's attorney, rather than asserting a formal FBI relationship. The Washington Post, what it means. Johnson's retraction indicates he did change his position. He moved from implying a formal informant status with law enforcement to highlighting a one-time, voluntary act of assistance without formal FBI affiliation. In his revised statement, open quote, the speaker is reiterating what the victim's attorney said, which is that Donald Trump was the only one more than a decade ago willing to help prosecutors expose Epstein. The Washington.
Okay, so now he quotes a victim. So it's this. You see, he doesn't give a name of the victim. How could he interpret any victims saying that? I didn't hear one victim say anything like MAGA Mike Johnson has said. MAGA Mike Johnson said that his hands are clean, that Trump's hands are clean, right? So if his hands are clean, why are you so against just releasing the rest of the information, right? It's obvious that he doesn't think that his hands are clean, thus don't release it. And he also doesn't think there's more people's whose hands are actually clean. He knows that knows that there's other people whose hands are not clean, and they would be exposed if you release these files. Clean of what? You don't know. As far as the news media cycle is that they're running the story that this is about child sex traffic victims only, not about espionage, not about blackmail. And you will hear people, I'm telling you, that will start coming out trying to distance themselves or talk down the aspect of blackmail and espionage. But if true, those could be even bigger concerns, if you can imagine, than even 1,000 victims, because espionage, blackmail means someone could affect all American people's lives. All, not 1,000, 350 million. 1,000 is not 350 million. 350 million people could have their lives affected if they're not already affected by espionage, by blackmail, via persons being in those Epstein tapes that are actively in government, on the Supreme Court, and in the government to some degree, whatever branch of government you may want to call it, in whatever capacity. They could be getting blackmailed by private industry, tech bros, you don't know. They could also be getting blackmailed by private government. That is the much bigger story, and legacy media is not on it, obviously. I mean, because that would be a bad situation to introduce to the people of the United States of America. But if it ever looked like something like that, that might be what it is. Because if I was a foreign government, I would want the United States, if I was an enemy, I would want the United States to use its military to attack the American people. That's what I would want. If I had that information and there were people in government, any branch of government, and I was a foreign government that had access to that information and knew that I could blackmail people in government in the United States to put the military against their own people, of course I would do that. That's the whole point. That would be the whole entire point of it. But I'm just saying, for thinking people, we know what this means for thinking people, right? You don't need obviously a media company that got the biggest tax break ever in the history of the United States of America. You don't think they're going to tell you the whole goddamn truth.
Washington.
And especially not the truth when you could use it. Nah, they might tell you later, after the fact.
Washington Post. Close quote. Summary timeline, what Johnson said. Sep 5 to 6th, 2025. Claimed Trump was an FBI informant in the Epstein case. Sep 7th, 2025. Retracted that claim, clarified that Trump helped prosecutors informally, as described by a victim's attorney. So yes, he has changed his statements.
Yeah, so MAGA Mike Johnson has changed his statement many times now.
Since initially claiming Trump acted as an FBI informant. Instead, Johnson now frames Trump's involvement as informal assistance, based on the victim's attorney's recollection, not a formal informant.
Right. So MAGA Mike Johnson is, if you want to continue to believe him, you have to be the dumbest person on fucking earth. Like, really, flat out. You really have to be really, something's got to be wrong with you. Okay. And you're thinking, like, this guy is not for honesty regarding this matter at all. He is capping for Trump. I don't know how he justifies it. Maybe there is some blackmail on him. Who knows? Maybe somebody else got some other blackmail on his ass. You never know what this is. I mean, could it be people that have compromising information on each other, covering up for each other? Who knows? I mean, if you ask me, that's definitely the case. But let's just go back now in retrospect, just a month from now, just to get some qualification, some background information on what we've just seen now. Right now, we see Maga Mike Johnson flip-flopping, right? But if you go back a month before Maga Mike Johnson made these statements, let's see what we hear.
There's a moment at the end of the Emperor's New Clothes when the people begin to see the truth, when they start to recognize their leader is not wearing the finest stitching. He's just, well, naked. Well, today, Donald Trump is feeling the breeze. It's no secret that the very foundation of his political power is his unique ability to construct an alternate reality for his supporters to inhabit. But after weeks of deflecting, diverting, distracting attention from the Jeffrey Epstein controversy, Earth 2's population is waking up to the reality that their emperor might not be entirely truthful on this matter. Just listen to how he's still talking about it.
Look, the whole thing is a hoax. It's put out by the Democrats because we've had the most.
Do me a favor, y'all. Do me a favor. Sorry. Click the like button and subscribe if you haven't subscribed. But click the like button, y'all, if you want more people to hear this.
6 months in the history of our country. And that's just a way of trying to divert attention to something that's total bullshit.
We all have Bill Barr to thank for ushering that word into the regular.
So he called it total bullshit. He called it total bullshit a month ago. This is a month ago, y'all. This is some time ago. Now, a month after these victims have come out, they've reacted to those statements. Like, it's not a hoax. It's not total bullshit. And yes, you even have heard this. Look at this. Hold on. Let me just refer back to this one. You have even heard, right, a victim themselves give testimony about Donald Trump. Now, let me just refer back to that one so people can get a glimpse of it. Maybe a lot of people that are online aren't aware of this, but there is a victim indeed that has directly accused and implicated Donald Trump in molesting and raping and committing sexual assault on her as a 13-year-old and a 14-year-old through 3 to 4 different encounters. So if you don't know that, Maga Mike Johnson probably wouldn't mention it to you, but let me try to pull these forward real quick for people to check out. Let's see here. Is it this one?
Is a billionaire friend of Donald Trump's that was.
Is it this one?
That, and she had a whole bunch of different wigs, and I expressed interest in them.
Or is it this one?
I came to this interview on my free will, on my own free will.
All right, so listen up. This is the woman who accused Donald Trump of having 3 to 4 different encounters with her when she was 13 and 14 years old. So how the hell can not anybody in the Justice Department, no one in the FBI, no one in Congress, no one in the Senate, no one in the White House press corps mention this woman? Like, how is it that you can't mention her? Because she literally said death threats is why she's not going to come forth. Essentially, this is literally what she said. So here it is, just for retrospect.
Was anything promised to you if you do this interview?
There was nothing promised to me for doing this interview.
Excellent. Everything that you will tell us during this interview is it Donald Trump?
Let me just get to the pertinent part.
I met Donald Trump at some parties I attend that I was working for Mr. Jeffrey Epstein. There was about 3 or 4 times that I had encounters with Donald Trump.
And
exactly. Google Katie Johnson. I mean, this is what the Congress needs to be told. Sherry, you know what I'm saying? Google Katie Johnson, Congress. Google Katie Johnson, Supreme Court. Google Katie Johnson, Senate. Google Katie Johnson, White House press corps. Google Katie Johnson, just all the press, Fox News. I dare Fox News to do it, but you know, Fox News is never going to do it. CNN, maybe they've mentioned her before, or MSNBC, who knows? But I would encourage everyone right now, since you want to know if Donald Trump has been implicated or not, since you want to know if Mike Johnson's comments about Trump having his hands clean are true, Google Katie Johnson, and this is part of her testimony.
And how old were you when you met him?
I was 13.
Or deposition, I'm sorry.
13.
Mm-hmm.
And how did the initial meeting, you know, how did that work?
Whew. The first time that I met Donald Trump was...
Guys, seriously.
Okay, you can hear that?
We need absolute quiet.
Okay, sorry.
And the first time that I met Donald Trump was at a party at Jeffrey Epstein's mansion. There was an orgy going on, and he was kind of watching off in the distance. And he basically asked if I could come over and give him a hand job. And at first, I wasn't very comfortable with it. This was like my first party, and I didn't think that was my responsibility. But my recruiter told me that I needed to do it, so I agreed to.
So, as everyone knows, I'm going to let this play because I don't normally let it play so long. I normally just let the first part play, but I'm going to let it play longer this time for context. But listen, at this time that she's describing, she's 13 years old, right? The time she's describing. And she describes herself as working for Jeffrey Epstein and having some handlers, some women handlers, right? Which goes along with all the other victims' testimony, by the way, and statements. Now, and she describes in this place, in this situation, or where she is in this deposition, that she's had 3 to 4 different encounters with Donald Trump, right? And who is the president of the United States right now, who has the U.S. military out attacking United States of Americans right now. Right. So the idea is that if you were a foreign government and you did have information that was already in the Epstein files and you were blackmailing a leader to do something, not just Trump, but any other leader, a Supreme Court justice, it could be a corporation that has access to the Epstein files that uses it against the Supreme Court. Remember, it could be another justice member, you know, lower courts. It could be senators. It could be congressional members to vote certain ways. The whole idea is that obviously what is more dangerous to the American people, more American people than anything else, is the espionage blackmail part of it. 1,000 little girls, God bless their hearts, and I feel sorry for them, these women. They're so brave, and thank you for standing up, because you are standing up for the United States of America. You are patriots right now. You are the patriots. These women are patriots. If any act has been done to save their nation, it has been them that has done it. The FBI, the DOJ hasn't done a motherfucking thing to protect the United States of America from anything, right? Foreign or abroad. But and this is a missed opportunity by them, obviously, right? But these victims, they are the real heroes of the United States of America. These are women patriots really right now, because they are, as they described, under threat from even speaking the truth. Right. So I just wanted to put that out there real quick. So let's listen on some more of her testimony here.
And then he, you know, I began to, sorry, this is a little difficult, but before I gave him a hand job, he kind of slapped my hand away and said, you need to use a glove. And the recruiter, he ran over and handed me a glove and said, no one touches Mr. Trump's penis without a glove. So I needed to use a glove. I gave him a hand job, and then immediately after, you know, he had an orgasm, he left, and I didn't see him again at that party.
Sekou, I see Sekou has a constructive criticism of myself. He says you're interrupting too much for us to focus on what she is saying. Let us judge her context. You're leading us. Please just chill. No, sir, Sekou, as part as the YouTube rules are, I have to give commentary. I don't know if you know that. Otherwise, the video would be striked, sir. So I hope you understand that part of it. But if you don't, anything else. But so you can refer to Google. Like Sherry said, Google Katie Johnson. If you're really interested, you can hear there's like an hour of testimony. I'm not going to play that. You see what I mean? So I just want to catch everybody up with that. But I do appreciate constructive criticism. So I just think sometimes we need to be aware of how media works, right? And again, you should be asking also legacy media to play this. Sekou, I hope you agree with that. But in any case, let's hear some more. I'm not going to play the whole thing. I'm just doing this to give context to another idea, which Sekou's about to bear witness, which I'm explaining. So let's hear some more.
And the person having the party, who is this person?
It was Mr. Jeffrey Epstein was having the party.
And for those who don't know, who is Jeffrey Epstein?
As Jeffrey Epstein is Jeffrey Epstein is a billionaire friend of Donald Trump's that was responsible for throwing the sex parties.
So there you have it. That gives the context. Now, if you care about Katie Johnson's story, in any kind of way, whether you believe her or not, or don't believe her, whether you like her or don't, whether you're a Republican or Democrat, whether you're rich or poor, no matter if you're an American citizen or not, you can do what Sherry says, and that is Google it. Because this lady made a lot of statements in this hour, or more testimony, which I cannot play. And nor do I need to, you know what I'm saying? Because she's talking about something that happened to her 13 years ago, or 20 something years ago specifically. I'm not. I'm playing it only for the context of what is happening right now with the United States government and in American citizens' lives regarding their own government. That's another context. So, but let's go further here. Now we've heard her. We heard her. She goes on for quite some time, and her name's Katie Johnson. So Google her. Again, I'm just saying that because people chime in and out at any particular point here. But now let's go back to Maga Mike Johnson, and let's go back to the House. Let's see here. The House, they could change all of this right now. They could go and they could ask for Katie Johnson and Sekou, for Sekou's sake, to want to know what she got to say. They could ask for her to testify. They have not asked, because if they did, it would be public information. The Senate could do that also. Trump could do it. The DOJ could do it. The FBI could do it. If you notice, they have made no comments about that. That would be international news, because obviously everyone would want to know. When you have a video like this lingering around, every single person will want to know, right? But let me see something here. Boom. Where's this? Right. But again, Congress can impeach and change anything regarding any criticism they have about what is going on in the U.S. government, any branch of government. They can always do this.
Good question. You're basically asking whether, after the next midterm elections, a new Congress could use impeachment to remove not just the president, but also the vice president, other executive officials, and even Supreme Court justices, if they have the votes. Here's how it works under the US Constitution. Now, 1. Who can be impeached? President and Vice President, explicitly subject to impeachment, Article 2, Section 4. Cabinet members and other civil officers, cabinet secretaries, agency heads, and appointed officers can be impeached. Federal judges and Supreme Court justices all hold office during good behavior, Article 3, which means they can also be impeached. Number 2, process and vote requirements. 1. House of Representatives needs a simple majority, 51%, to approve articles of impeachment. If passed, the official is impeached, formally charged. 2. Senate trial. The Senate then holds a trial, presided over by the Chief Justice if it's the President on trial. Conviction and removal requires a 2/3 supermajority, 67 if all 100 senators vote. 3. Consequences. Conviction equals removal from office. The Senate may also vote by simple majority to bar the person from holding future federal office. Number 3. Can they all be impeached together? Yes, but separately. Each official must be impeached with their own set of charges and their own House vote. They can't be lumped into one impeachment. In theory, if a post-midterm Congress controlled both chambers and had strong enough numbers, they could impeach the President, the Vice President, cabinet members or agency heads, Supreme Court justices or other federal judges. Measure 4. Political reality. It requires very large majorities in both chambers. Historically, impeachment is rare. Presidents, Andrew Johnson, Bill Clinton and Donald Trump twice were impeached, none removed. Judges, 15 impeached, 8 removed. Supreme Court Justice Samuel Chase was impeached, 1804, but acquitted. To remove multiple top officials at once would require overwhelming evidence of treason, bribery, or other high crimes and misdemeanors and extraordinary political consensus.
All right, so I can see we don't have that many people in the chat today. Do yourself a favor and subscribe if you're a listener, right? Then you can get in the chat later. Right now the chat is open, but sometimes I have it in subscriber mode. But in any case, what they're saying is that what I've been saying, obviously, it's just qualitative video that I for qualitative purposes that I put that little short video together on it. But this can all be changed. Anybody can, all of these people, any branch of government can have impeachments. The people have the power of impeach, right? That is the voters. That's the United States citizens, right? You have the power on a federal level. You have the power of impeachment, right? Now, you can, if you find any of these people, responsible for treason, any other purpose. You want to hear it again? I don't think you need to, but I will play it again. But if you think somebody is involved in treason, a group of people, if you think they've committed high crimes, any of this stuff, right? Doesn't matter who they are. It could be a Supreme Court justice. It could be a senator. It could be a congressional member. It could be a lower judge. It could be a president. It could be a vice president. It could be anybody in his administration. You can always handle that in midterm elections because if you control the majority of the House, the supermajority of the House, of both houses, basically, you can impeach and convict. Without a supermajority in both, you can't impeach. You might be able to impeach in the Congress, but you can't convict, meaning get them the hell out of there without the Senate have a supermajority, which is like 67%, right, out of 100, right? 67 reps out of 100 have to vote for that, something like that. Now, you could off with anybody's head with that, and that's dealt with in the midterm elections. So my advice to you is that if you think treason is going on among a group of people, you need to be electing officials that agree with that notion right now, having that conversation right now, and be prepared in registering people to vote right now, before, not after, before. Go out to your communities, make sure people are registered to vote. Go out to your neighbors in other towns, in other states, make sure that they are registered to vote. Hit the canvas, really find, I'm sure there's people that are doing that and there's ways to do it, but find out where the gaps are. Sadly enough, it's not only the voting that matters, but Trump even wants to end voting, right? So there's a lot for people to do. But in terms of this, Congress could do it right now. You don't have to wait till the midterm elections. If they wanted the Epstein Files released right now, they could and they can. Same people that could get them released right now are the same people that could impeach anybody. That's the point. They could change all of this right now. But you're seeing a split. You're seeing a split, and we're going to get to that. And the split is all the Democrats have agreed to release the Epstein Files with only victims' names redacted. All Democrat reps have. The Republicans, only 4 Republicans agree right now. So everybody that's listening, if you think that there's espionage in these Epstein files, put a 1 in the chat. If you don't, put a 2 in the chat. If you do not agree that there's espionage inside of the Epstein files, put a 2. If you agree and believe that there is espionage in the Epstein files, put a 1 in the chat. I want to see what people think. I believe there's espionage in the Epstein files. So I'm putting a 1 in the chat. Matter of fact, maybe I should just do that right here. Enter, and I'll see what everybody says. Boom. Now let me see if I can catch up to the comments here. All right. So Ronald says he doesn't. I am independent says yes. Ross says yes. Okay, I'm saying yes. The Bit says yes. Gino says yes. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I do. I think the shit needs to be released. O'Neill says yes. Sherry also says yes. I believe that's Sherry, right? Hold on. Did Sherry say that you must go to register? Yeah, you got to go register to vote. Everybody register to vote and find out who doesn't and get them registered state to state, y'all. But again, the same people that could impeach with the supermajority, they could do it right now if they wanted to. So let the record show the Republicans Party is not for releasing everything in those Epstein files. They are not for that. They are for just a little bit at a time, and we're going to get into that. Let me let this play.
President, the Vice President, cabinet members or agency heads, Supreme Court justices or other federal judges. Nature 4, political reality. It requires very large majorities in both chambers. Historically, impeachment is rare.
All right, so we know impeachment can happen. Now, what's the next one? Is it this one? Boom. Let's see. Right. Now, we've heard Trump talk about his thoughts about the if someone should be if someone should be pardoned, right, and other things that connect to that. So let's hear his statements real quick.
You're asking, did Trump mention that any other innocent people's names beyond Epstein's victims were being redacted in the Epstein files? From the publicly available sources, his remarks focused on the idea that innocent individuals, not necessarily victims, might be included in the redactions. This appears to be more about general concern than calling out specific names. What Trump actually said.
So Trump put out there the idea that more people's names could be redacted outside of just the victims. And he's suggesting that so innocent people that are not victims wouldn't be caused any harm. He's putting that idea that innocent people outside of the victims would be caused harm by releasing their names to the public. Oh my God. It really, I mean.
According to a Wikipedia summary, which draws on media reports, Trump stated on August 22nd, 2025, that some people could be mentioned in those files that don't deserve to be, and he supported transparency, saying innocent people shouldn't be hurt. He added, I'm in support of keeping...
You see how manipulative these statements are?
Keeping it totally open. I couldn't care less. Wikipedia hurt. He added media reports. Trump stated on August 22nd, 2025, that some people could be mentioned in those files that don't deserve to be, and he supported transparency, saying innocent people shouldn't be hurt.
He's suggesting two opposite things. If you want transparency, then why don't you want the names released? But in the same breath, he's suggesting that you don't release all the names. You know, you keep some people that weren't victims, you hide their names too. What kind of statement is this? This is, number one, a highly manipulative statement put out in the media, put out as propaganda. The media has run with it, but it's obvious that it doesn't make any sense. You can't have two. You can't hide names and have transparency. You could have transparency by maybe hiding the victims' names, but once you begin to hide other people's names, then you don't have transparency. That's the problem. It's a contradiction in itself.
He added, I'm in support of keeping it totally open. I couldn't care less. Wikipedia. This comment frames innocent people broadly, without specifying who they are, and without naming anyone else explicitly. What about redactions? There is also evidence that the FBI redacted Trump's name and other high-profile individuals from the publicly released Epstein files, citing privacy protections. That includes people outside of Epstein's victims, though again, those individuals weren't explicitly named by Trump himself. The high-profile individual else explicitly. What about redactions? There is also evidence that the FBI redacted Trump's name and other high-profile individuals from the publicly released Epstein files.
So other high-profile individuals they believe have been redacted also already in the beginning, in just the first release, right? So this is the idea. But they're claiming that this is transparency. Okay.
Citing privacy protections. That includes people outside.
So can you have privacy and transparency? Can you have them both in a crime? If you believe you can have privacy and transparency in a crime, in a criminal investigation, put a 1 in the chat. If you don't, put a 2 in the chat. I don't see how you could have privacy and, oh my God, and transparency in a crime scene. What is this? What is this? This is ridiculous. But this is what was put out in the media.
Of Epstein's victims, though again, those individuals weren't explicitly named by Trump himself. Summary. Trump did not specifically name any individuals, innocent or otherwise, as having been redacted. His comments were general, expressing concern that innocent people might be unfairly hurt by association through redactions. He also said he supported full transparency and that innocent people shouldn't be harmed. The available evidence suggests redactions applied to Trump and other high-profile names, but those were not identified by Trump in his statement.
Wondering when the American people get to hear what she said during that interview.
Well, I don't know, because I haven't spoken about it, but he's a very talented guy, Todd Blanche, and a very straight shooter.
Yeah.
And I think he probably wanted to know, just to get a feeling of it, because we'd like to release everything, but we don't want people to get hurt that shouldn't be hurt.
Yeah.
And I would assume that was why he was there. I want to release everything. I just don't want people to get hurt. You can't have people associated first.
Okay, let's hear it again.
Just wondering when the American people get to hear what she said during that interview.
Well, I don't know, because I haven't spoken about it, but he's a very talented guy, Todd Blanche, and a very straight shooter.
Yeah.
And I think he probably wanted to know, just to get a feeling of it, because we'd like to release everything, but we don't want people to get hurt that shouldn't be hurt.
Yeah.
And I would assume that was why he was there. I want to release everything. I just don't want people to get hurt. You can't have people associated first.
Right. So you have that, him interfering, which is what people called it, interfering, right? While he's the president. Basically to get her a pass, to get Ghislaine Maxwell some sort of plausible way to get out of jail for her crimes, right? That she's already been convicted of. And then you have this minute. This minute also shows up out of nowhere, the missing minute. This is all in the same, this is the same, current week. This just showed up this week. This missing minute from the FBI after they already lied about it or already told mistruths, things that were not true. They claimed that it was a glitch in the system. No, it was not a glitch in the system. It was that it got removed. Now, this minute, again, Epstein, when this is going on, this minute that they show you, they're going to show you Epstein being led off to another area, to another part of the prison to make a phone call. Keep in mind, this phone call is happening while Trump is the president also. So he sent out DOJ to interview Ghislaine Maxwell after she's been convicted of a crime in this administration. But in that administration, the one before, the previous one where Jeffrey Epstein died in prison, he is led. This is not. This is goes against the rules of the prison system, the Justice Department. You can't take him off of there to give him a phone call. That was against the rules. That's also unheard of. But it happened during Trump's first administration. So Trump is the president when this is happening. Could it be that Trump wanted to talk to Epstein to give him a last chance to either help him, quid pro quo, like the Ghislaine Maxwell thing? You help me, I'll help you. Could it be the same thing going on here? I'm just asking. If you think it's the same thing going on here, put a 1 in the chat. If you don't, put a 2 in the chat. And let's hear the rest of this and then we out.
The missing minute from the Epstein jail footage is no longer missing. It's been released by Congress. So, what's in it? Earlier this year, when the FBI released the security footage from the jail where Jeffrey Epstein died, it included nearly 11 hours of recording. But the video skipped 1 minute within the hours before Epstein's body was discovered in August 2019. The video jumped from the last second of 11:58 p.m. to midnight. The missing footage fueled online conspiracy theories that Epstein did not die by suicide in his prison cell. But the US Attorney General said it was just down to a technical glitch.
What we learned from Bureau of Prisons was every night the video is reset and every night should have the same minute missing.
But now we know the Epstein missing minute was in fact recorded. In the grainy footage, you can just make out someone at the top of the screen who appears to be walking away from the guard's desk towards the main entrance. The Department of Justice has not named this person, but describes them as a material handler. There doesn't appear to be anything else happening in the footage. But the full version of the Congress-released video raises further questions. It shows Epstein being escorted to a different prison unit just before 7 p.m. to make an unmonitored phone call. This is banned in prison, so why was he allowed to do it? This new footage has missing metadata, different text on screen, and is lower quality compared with the FBI's version, leading some to question whether or not it really is the original footage and why it wasn't released sooner.
Right. So there you have it. You tell me. There's no debate. This is happening under the Trump administration. Just like Jeffrey Epstein's death happened under the Trump administration, just like him being walked off to another area of the prison, that was during his first administration. And just like the pro quo said be conversation that the DOJ had with Ghislaine Maxwell under the Trump's current administration, right? Could that phone call be about the same thing, pro quo? Could it be that? Could it be that Trump, that espionage is what you're seeing of Trump, that foreign nation already has what is inside of the Epstein files and is blackmailing Trump? Could it be that private corporations in the U.S. or outside have access to those files and can blackmail a president, a congressman, a Supreme Court justice, a judge, a senator, or any other person of, consequence to the American people, get them to vote a certain way or make certain rulings or this kind of thing, fund certain people and activities, right? Politically, whatever. Is that what's in the Epstein files, or is it just about the little girls? You let me know. If you think it's just about the girls, the women, the many, the thousand that were sexually trafficked, let me know what you think. And my heart goes out to them and their families anyway, because that's bad enough. But if you think the bigger crime, sadly, that there could even be one, if you think the bigger crime is that espionage is involved of many people, and that all the files need to be released so that the American people can protect themselves from these type of acts towards possible judges, possible congressional members, possible senators, possible presidents, vice presidents, other admin, stuff like this. If you think that is the bigger crime and it also equally needs to be prosecuted, let me know what you think. And I would appreciate it so much. I appreciate everybody coming out. By the way, again, let me know what you think, because I got my opinion, but my ears are all open to anybody else that has theirs too. So I appreciate y'all. On that note, I'm gonna be out. I wish everybody the best. I'll see y'all back here actually a little bit earlier. Bless.
They want war. Crying babies looking for food. Starvation, the recipe. People subdued. When the people you trust got it in for you. Deceit is the word of the day in every clue. Don't let it go. It's from the days of old. Time is up, but some still do not know. Can I make up my mind? Is it worth the dime? Do I have to take a minute just to make it mine? Life's never fair, but don't listen to the TV. Go out and take a listen to the streets with the people in the slums and the homeless bums with degrees and degrees sitting under a tree. It's not easy in the world for the poor man, the one that brought you to reality. See, they don't want you to know about the black sheep. Even 7 roads to the 12 families all around the globe with an ancient code. Is it really asking a lot to say a death old? Cause we sitting on the earth looking back at extinct, and I'm standing on some ground that's about to sink. I ain't scared for a minute, I ain't about to blink, but I documented for the world what I see and think. Feel we on the call and up and we on the brink. All Congress gonna do is waste paper and ink. Vote or die. You voted and you'll die. You can have it both ways, can't say it's a lie. You can march all you want, but they playing you wrong. They only understand war, it's the same old song. They want war, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. War, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. Like a lotus coming out of the mud with colors, I create envy in those with power but jealous. I unify the poor with my song, the hell with the others. Descended the way they treat indigenous brothers. Cause I understand we link forever. They try to hate us even though that we keep it together. I'm not talking about controlling the air or the weather. I'm talking about maintaining the truth, the high endeavor. A rebel drops bombs in the midst of trouble. The free world counterattack and now there's double. But nature gets the shit in the way to settle. If you stop the machines for a minute you might hear, but they won't cause the TV's whisper in the ear. And capitalism has eyes that don't tear, and they cloud up and get crazy and won't steer. And like an ad, it's hard to get an ass to listen. Living like this is like living in prison. It's hard to keep hope when you're living in prison. The spiritual thoughts, so yes, the mental prison. The outside, yes, it's got to get through. Something's gotta die, so something here can live. Your life is nothing if you got nothing to give. Keeping the spiritual, yes, disguised as religion. Controlling your mind, the mental prison. They want war, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. War, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war.